Hello, I will start the stream shortly, and I am a little sick today, so the commentary won't be as good. I will just turn on the recording and we'll finally start. Is the music too loud? Or the voice too quiet? I will turn up the music. Tell me if it becomes better. But not so loud that my voice is muted. The music has been turned a bit up. Is it better? Okay then, I will probably start in about 2 minutes. I am ready if you are. I will start then. And also, the delay between the stream and the chat will be a bit long this time, since I switched over to normal mode to increase the quality of the video. So, these are all the competitors we have. The first one is Corpse I don't know 2.0 version. It's made by it was made by None for Use. And is actually a Veterans Challenge craft. The weakest team that participates in this tournament, but they are allowed to have a total of 300p, which is double of all the others. So he made some sort of trapper, as you may see. And the next one might behave oddly, since these are really small ships and this is a low P point to try to make a fleet on. The next one is ADF5 Torsten, made by Marble Man, and it's a spinal mount actually, which is the team which only has fixed weapons. It appears to be some sort of quite big gunship with relatively heavy armor but a lot of small and fragile parts. This one will likely fail against splash damage. After that comes Strike, made by Alfeathers, which is also a craft only using a cruise missile, and it's quite well armored and appears to be a kiter. And the next one is Rushed Ship, made by Dragon Tamer. It's a Timpor. I don't know how to pronounce my own mod in English, but it's a team with really powerful weapons, with relatively short range and quite weak armor, but they should be good brawlers. The next one is Damn Goose, made by Zero Works, I believe. No, it's made by... I'm looking at it now. Cersei. It might be Zero Works, I'm not completely sure. No, it's not. So, it's a design made by Cersei. And it's an Evolved Farmer. My own remake of the Farmer faction. It's a bit stronger, not really all that much, but a bit, and it has a shield, which might prove difficult for the crafts using cruise missiles as their main weapon. The next one is RV, and the date of the making, made by Reno Wit. It's also a true Terran, but it's a large true Terran, trying to focus on mostly durability and being a heavy brawler. The next one is Play Zero Ranger, also a cruise missile kiter. This one is made by... I just have to double check. It's made by Dill, I believe. Yes, it's made by Dill. And that brings the total of true Terran missile kiters to 3. We'll see how those do. And the last one is Let Me In by Husk. And it's a Timpor with a few Gatling guns and quite a big chunk of armor. The rules and features of the arena are set as said in the rule sheet. And we'll be ready to begin, unless you have anything to mention before I start. Yes, that's true, Kanga. I was also surprised to not see a single obsidian, even though they should be really powerful for a price point that lacks strong long-range weaponry, since they are mostly close range, but really powerful at brawling. And they also were allowed to only have half of the acceleration of the other teams, so it should probably have been a strong competitor, but not a single one submitted one of those. Yes, Xderp, resources are on, but this price point doesn't allow for effective use of factories, so we have not seen any factory ships here. Anything else? Yes, Konga. True Terrans do have the high-speed missiles, and you are actually using them, so I expect only Damned Goose by Cersei to be able to withstand the cruise missiles effectively. Well, you can make large ships fast too if you just don't add large amounts of armor. Well, I will start then. The stream and recording is up, so I'm ready. So, first up we have Sir's Non-for-Deuce versus Konga. Non-for-Deuce has a veteran's challenge. They are really fragile, slow, and weak in all ways. As you see, those missiles are really powerful and rip through large amounts of armor, and that was it. Unless the Trapper from Non-for-Deuce manages to always face Konga and get close somehow before it dies, it won't be able to do anything effective. That missile will likely be enough, and it was. Now we have Exterp versus None4Duce with his little fleet of tiny probes. Yeah, it's true. That's the None4Duce ship is really large to be a 150p ship. But it's actually inside the allowed P range. The weapons from Veterans Challenge are also quite slow, so as you see, that little probe manages to dodge every single one of them. This might be, yes, it was a kill. Unless None4Duce becomes lucky against his fleet, he won't be able to defeat a single one of these probes. Oh, there were some hits. Oh, also, None4Duce ship is quite big because Veterans Challenge was allowed to have double the P of all other factions. So it's a 300p ship. The Veterans Challenge holds up quite well. It might be because Exterp paid a little too much for all those cores and thrusters, leaving relatively little left behind for the weapons, but it's still a kill. Now we have the Spinal Mounts gunship versus None4Duce Veterans Challenge. The gunship has probably a lot of firepower. Everything depends on how well it manages to focus all that firepower. And there is the weakness I mentioned. The ship made by Marble Man has a lot of small parts and they are always fragile to splash damage. Veterans Challenge also has the bonus of having those extra points, and since this scoring mode depends on points, Veterans Challenge has the advantage when it comes to winning on points. But I think that's a fair advantage for a team as horribly underpowered as Veterans Challenge. Well, Konga, Spinal Mounts has been shown to actually work better at small P ranges, since the ships can be really small and agile and aim their weapons really well. Larger ships have bigger difficulties aiming their weapons. The ADF-5 seems to be unable to put out the damage needed to take out None4Duce. This might actually be a win to Veterans Challenge. Yes, Konga, the None4Duce ship is completely at the minimum speed requirement. It can't add a few more blocks before it's over the limit. We have a win to Veterans Challenge. Didn't expect to see that. Marble Man seems to be unable to face the target effectively, and Kite, it should probably have more backwards thrust if it should have worked well as a gunship. I think the main weakness of Marble is the lack of backwards thrust and the large use of very fragile blocks. Well, Spinal Mounts are actually quite durable, but when you use small blocks they will still be fragile to splash. Now we have Feathers with his Missile Kiter versus None for Deuce. Now I see the smallest of the cruise missiles again. They are actually 2 scales above this, so that's something to look forward for the higher P ranges. And it will probably be a kill, yes. These cruise missiles are something people should look out for. They are really powerful and agile. They are basically a non-drawback missile made by true Terrans, but their, well, drawback is how expensive they are and how much energy they need. Now we have a Timpor versus Veterans Challenge. We'll see how this little Timpor will do. It has cannons and Gatling guns. The cannons are really powerful, but the Timpor is really fragile. I'm surprised I have not seen a single large Timpor yet. But it's simply too fragile to deal with such a large ship. Now we have the only farmer versus None for Deuce. The shield from Evolved Farmers is quite a bit more powerful than the vanilla one, but yeah, it won't deal with prolonged direct damage. Now we have Rhino Wit versus Non-for-Deuce. Both ships are at the maximum for what the price point allows for in terms of weight, and Rhino has a lot of belt-fed Gatling guns, miniguns. They have really powerful burst fire. As you saw there, it simply cuts through anything in its way. When it has reloaded, of course. Rhino Wit was armed with one cannon, two fixed belt-fed miniguns, and one turreted belt-fed minigun. The turreted one is weaker, but oh no, he has lost all his weapons. That will prove difficult. Oh, the ship managed to recover. That's great news for Reno, and if the belt-fed miniguns fire again, Non-for-Deuce will be cut in half. Definitely. Oh no, he lost his miniguns again. Yes, it's true, Konga. The durability of Veteros challenge is actually, I think, 0.35, so a 1x1 block only has 35 HP. But still, these miniguns have a lot more to give than just that. But the win goes to Non-for-Deuce. Something negative for Rhino Wit is the fact that the belt-fed miniguns actually use up all their armor before they get in range, which makes for a reload. And here we have Dill. This is actually the first time Dill has participated in a tournament. He does also have a missile kiter. And it's a quick kill. This will likely repeat itself. And it did. So, the final match for Non-for-Deuce versus Husk, who has been quite absent from the community, and he has a lot of Gatling guns and a big chunk of armor at the front. He is a Timpor. And as mentioned, Timpor has a lot of firepower. Sadly, Timpor is quite fragile, so as you see, the explosive cannons from Non-for-Deuce managed to deal a lot of blows to Husk, so that he has to retreat and recover. Oh, he managed to cut the ship in half. Keep in mind these Gatling guns on Husk's ship are actually just the smallest scale. There are 3 scales above it, I believe, so if you were to use one of those, it will be quite a bit worse. Excerpt, yeah, that's right. Well, I like glass cannons, but I also like really slow and bulky chunks of stone. That's why, yeah, I made obsidian. Also, keep in mind, True Terrans and Ancient are both also quite durable factions, as is Spinal Mounts. I actually have only Timpor and Veterans Challenge are actually my fragile factions, and maybe the Evolved Farmers. But other than that, they are overwhelmingly durable, which is something I might change by adding other factions later on. So now we have Konga versus Exterp, and Konga does not seem to be able to effectively deal with the small swarm. A single explosive cannon bullet managed to strip Konga of the majority of his points. Now a railgun hit. I have no idea how Konga survived that. And it has now 0 points. That means the core of Konga likely has less than 50 HP. A single more bullet will lead to a death. If it hits the core, how is it still surviving? There you go. So Exterp, you have a win. Luckily the Spinal Mount core has enough HP to sustain about 2 of those cruise missiles. So your ships are actually relatively safe. Now we have Marble Man versus Konga, and those explosive missiles will harm Marble Man greatly if they hit, due to Marble Man's construction of mostly small blocks. Oh, yeah, there you go. As you see, don't underestimate the cruise missiles. But if Marble Man gets in a shot, it will instantly cripple Konga. It just did. Now, Konga quickly rebuilds after a blow, something Marble Man doesn't do to the same degree, and Konga survived. Now we have Owl, a missile kiter, versus Konga, the missile kiter. Here, mostly maneuverability will decide who wins. And I believe Owl is a bit slower. So, yes, he got hit the most. I'm also surprised to not have seen a single point defense. It's the only 5p defense cannon from True Terrans. it will be able to repel these missiles. So yeah, Owl loses due to his slowness. Now we have a Tympor, fragile Tympor versus cruise missiles. This won't last long. There we go! Evaporated Tympor. Now, if yeah. There are so few defensive ships here. There, we have the farmer. That shield will make it completely immune to Konga and all the other missile kiters. Shields and point defense are the only weakness of the cruise missiles. Now, Cersei just has to hope to get close enough to deal some damage, or else he might still lose on points. Excerpt, there is nothing to pray for. The Tympor is already gone. As you see, that shield effectively deals with the missiles. And Cersei leads on points. Oh, not anymore. It took 3 missiles all at once to take down the points again. Yes, it's true, Exterp. The cruise missiles are quite tanky, but they are actually the most fragile launchable of all the true Terran launchables. So, and PD can deal with them cost effectively. So it's still worth the investment if you don't want your ship to disintegrate from being hit once. Hello, Kozarik. Now, the Konga's best bet is actually if his missiles don't hit the first time they go around, and rather instead bundle up multiple at a time and then hit the shield, or else they can't get through the shield in any reasonable way. Cersei's Evolved Farmer is a quite nice gun platform. The shield has 500, 400 HP, I believe, and it has the normal regeneration of 200 per second, so it's quite powerful, and the missile launcher simply doesn't have the damage per second to deal with it. This will likely be a win to Cersei unless something incredible happens and his shield fails. Kozarek, this is technically a fleet tournament. Exterp actually made a fleet of 3 ships, but the P budget for this one is only 150 or 300 P. The next one will ramp up to 500 P, and it will run in about a week, with the rules being released probably tomorrow. Yes, if Al would have been to get spontaneously combustible shields, then he will probably choose Veterans Challenge like last time, because yeah, they don't have all that much HP, and even their shields. Actually, the Veterans Challenge shields would not be able to deal with cruise missiles. These missiles, this little tiny farmer is able to deal with quite well. So it seems like Konga will take this win. Due to the fact Cersei is unable to get close enough to deal some proper damage. Sadly, a ship still loses points only after losing shield HP, which leads to things like this. And the win goes to Konga. Now we have Rinowit versus the Missile Kiter, and I think most of us know who will be the winner here. Rinowit completely lacks shields or any effective defense against these missiles. Yes, we did not get a single obsidian this tournament. A bit sad, but it's fine. Hopefully we'll see some in the 500p budget tournament. They should be quite powerful, but it might be that they are not all that appealing due to how slow they are. These missiles are really powerful, as you see. These are 3x3 true Terran blocks, I believe with 2000 HP, and the cruise missiles are annihilating it. Oh, the Belt-fed minigun came online. Obsidians will actually be quite powerful here. One of their block pellets does have shields, which will deal with these missiles, and the other pellets have quite powerful weaponry. Now, Konga has lost some points, but not enough to lose some points. The first match goes to Konga. Konga will most likely take the win unless Rinowit somehow becomes very lucky. Well, Obsidian can actually win without their speed is sufficient, especially at larger P points, to deal with big slow ships. For instance, Rinowit will have issues against an Obsidian. Both teams here are taking blows, but Zero Ranger seems to only have a little left on their core. But yeah, Obsidian will probably be strong, especially if you build it right. But maybe not at these P points due to this cruise missile spam. But I expect to see less of these on the higher P points, since people can actually afford defenses then, which will be able to deal with these. And the win goes to Kunga. Now we have Konga versus Husk, and Timpors are not made to withstand cruise missiles. Especially not if the cruise missile has splash enough to get to the core, which only has about 30-40 HP. Actually, almost all missiles in vanilla will one-shot that core. Now you see the splash ripping apart Marble Man, and the fleet from Exverp proves to be quite a force to deal with. Marble Man should possibly have focused on few and bigger parts instead of this spam of smaller ones, because it's really weak to splash. Now we have Owl versus Exterp. Owl does not have any effective defense against small probes, and the probes can withstand these missiles at least a few times due to the durable core, and the railgun broke one of the large armor plates, and it's a quick and efficient kill from Exterp. Now, if that railgun does the same... Oh, it missed. The railgun hit now. It took out parts of the back. Hit again. Broke parts of the front. But Owl is still taking damage from the splash. And it's a kill. Now we have Timpor versus Exterp's fleet, and yeah, that was actually the railgun. The railgun cut straight to the core. Oh, the railgun was a bit off aim, but even just a splash can get to the core and one-shot it. This Timpor does not take account for a splash at all. Now we have the Farmer versus Exterp. This shield won't be able to survive this railgun. That's the biggest threat yet. Now the shield is gone and the splash cannons can get to the ship, as you saw there. The main purpose of the railgun ship was actually to take down shields and big armor blocks, so that the explosive cannons can get to it. The biggest bet for Cersei is to manage to take out the railgun ship before it's too late. It's now weak to splash. The railgun hit again and the splash shot finished it. Now we have Reno it versus the Exterp fleet. Exterp has enough maneuverability to probably be able to dodge anything Reno shoots at him. But Exterp lacks the damage output to break through the armor. A kill is unlikely. And as you see, Konga, tiny spinal mount ships are actually quite accurate with their shots. Oh, somehow one of the extra pros managed to get hit by the main cannon. I do not know how, but it happened. And Exterp lost points. Exterp is actually behind on points, or he was, barely. Oh, Reno is falling behind on points now. Reno is heavily damaged and has lost over 50 points. And the first round goes to Exterp. Now, unless Renoit somehow manages to hit with the cannon and then finish off with his miniguns, since the cannon lacks the damage to break the core in one shot, he won't be able to win. Oh, that was close, but not close enough. Yes, Exterp, you won. So it seems like I should probably buff the miniguns, since they are unable to hit small targets at all, which is kind of what they were made for. So, Reno is behind on points, and his chances to win are diminishing. Well, spread would if I would have been to add spread, I would not add much. I wanted kind of accurate miniguns, but I will probably add more velocity, since they actually seem to be quite slow for these standards. And the win goes to Exterp. Now we have Exterp versus the Zero Ranger, made by Dill, and it's also one of these missile kiters and lacks any effective defense against a small swarm like Exterp. It seems like Exterp has a very effective fleet against the competitors in this tournament, due to a majority of, or a large part of them, being simple missile kiters. I think Dill's design can actually be considered to be a delayed spinner due to it instantly spinning once one of the arms are lost, but it does clearly not seem to be an intentional design. So it's fine. It's simply the fact that he only has 2 thrusters, and once one breaks, the thrust is very offset. Well, Extorp, I did say there were negatives to my suggestions. But adding the railgun was actually my idea, so yeah, that shield craft would have caused you very large issues. And the Zero Ranger is soon dead. It's kind of true, Konga, since the Zero Ranger is actually made to keep very long range. Now, let us see if Husk can do anything about this. I believe Extorp is all too agile to be hit by any of these. And even if Extorp is hit, the Spinal Mounts are durable in all ways. So a few shots wouldn't harm. Now, Husk simply seems like he prepared to see more brawlers, like True Terrans and Obsidian. It would have been a really effective craft versus Obsidian, but sadly we did not see any of those. This will likely be a win to Extorp again. Husk's armor is mostly ripped off, now completely, and now it's gone. Now we have Shrike versus Marble Man. Also, Extorp has 9 wins and is currently the leader of the tournament. Marble Man annihilated Owl Feathers with his powerful splash cannons. The Shrike does not seem to be made for close combat, and it actually lacks the speed to keep good range against something quick like ADF5. ADF5 has 2 large thrusters, as you may see, which is the reason for the speed, but it's still weak to splash. Now, yeah, that was it. Marble Man is weak to splash, but he's not weak to kinetic damage. Now, this might be a good chance to get through, but the issue for Marble Man here will be to aim the miniguns properly. This will probably be a win to Cersei. Marble Man was simply unable to effectively use his miniguns to take down the shield. Yes, excerpt that you may actually end up being the winner. Wait. You have to be the winner in this tournament. Since if you won all the times, it means that the others can only be able to get a maximum of 8 wins. Okay, we have the winner already decided actually. Cersei won again. Now we have small spinal mount versus large true Terran. Maybe the miniguns will be able to do something usable now. Well, they still managed to miss. Also, the spinal mount cores have very little energy generation, I believe. So Marbleman is having large energy issues just by using his miniguns. Yes, Konga. The maximum amount of wins you can get if you have 8, if Exterp won against everybody, is 8. Well, Konga, it works in both ways. If you win, you get 1 more win point, and the enemy gets 1 less. So it's actually kind of like an amplified effect. And you still have to win against the people, so it means Xderp is actually capable of beating every single competitor in this tournament. Now I see that Spinal Mounts excel at very small P ranges. So here we see Marble Man lacking in points. We know it simply has the heavy armor. Oh, I said that until it lost it. But yeah, Reno has the heavy armor. Finally, the fixed belt-fed miniguns managed to hit him. And Marble Man was cut apart. Yeah, the miniguns will probably need a buffed velocity. This is kind of sad. They are unable to hit anything properly. So the first round goes to Renault, and due to his design, he does not have to rely on luck at all. So it's unlikely that he will lose second round. Yeah, it's true, Exterp. Most of the ships in the campaign spell mounts are actually small, and they always aim perfectly. They move around, hard to hit. Still durable, since the core and guns of this faction are very durable. So, actually, I believe smaller spinal mounts are the best spinal mounts. Imagine a swarm of extra ships at the 500p point tournament. It might actually be effective. He will be able to afford 10 ships. So, Marble Man is unable to deal with Renoit's armor, and Reno has put in enough damage to defeat Marble Man with points. And the big generator-like thing Reno has in his ship is definitely not a generator, since the generators of that scale cost about 600 points, I believe. It's a capacitor. It gives him a lot of energy storage. Actually 10,000 energy storage. Oh, a cannon hit. And now Konga. Actually, smaller designs are better for fixed weapons if you want to aim well. And all but the miniguns are very burst damage weapons. Now, Marbleman versus Dill with his Zero Ranger. If Dill is fast enough, he might keep the range and be able to deal with Marbleman. But if Marbleman gets close, Dill won't be able to easily survive. Well, here we saw the negative of spinal mounts. Not the fact that ship evaporated, but Dill was behind ADF5, which made ADF5 unable to fire at Dill. And that's a win to Dill. Now we have the ADF5 versus Let Me In. If Husk has thick enough armor to deal with the splash of the cannons, and it does seem to have so, then Husk has a chance until the armor breaks. No, it seems like all the Timper designs sent in this time simply have too little armor or too little splash resistance. For some reason everyone chose to make very compact Timpers, which showed a largest weakness. Now we have the Shrike versus the rushed ship. And the rushed ship evaporated. Again, due to very low splash resistance, which of some reason everyone chose to have. And it evaporated again. Now we have the Shrike versus the Damned Goose. The Damned Goose does have his shield, so he will certainly not die to these missiles. But whether he manages to deal some blows to Shrike to get some points is still questionable, but Damned Goose is quite well settled in terms of points already. Oh, Exterp, good luck with that test. We'll continue the tournament here. You can see the recording afterwards. It seems like the situation is stalling, and that will mean bad news for Owlfeathers, who is the one with the least points. And the win went to Cersei, due to his superior defense towards cruise missiles in the form of a single shield. I'm honestly surprised to not see a large amount of brawlers. I guess this is the P range for very small and fast ships, but True Terran does have a quite powerful shield, costing 64p. It regenerates at 300 HP per second, which would actually be a very big issue for ships of this P range. Having 300 DPS on a 150p ship is actually can be difficult to achieve. I think, from what I'm seeing here, I will have the navigation of the cruise missiles buffed. They miss a very large lot, and they strafe for some reason, even though I added fin force. So I will have to see what is wrong with that. They should not strafe like that at all. Oh, I didn't notice it. Alfeathers is really lacking points. The win is most definitely going to Cersei, unless Owl somehow gets in at least 3 or 4 missiles all at once. And that's unlikely. So, the win went to the farmer. Now we have Shrike versus RV. Renowitz's ship. It doesn't really have a name. And the cruise missiles are doing a lot of work. Unless something unfortunate happens, Al won't die. But he might. Why did it choose to get hit by those cannons? Anyways, Al does now have a lot of work to do if he wants to lead in points, since those 2 cannon shells and the little bit of minigun damage removed 2/3 of his points. He should stay away. Something he's not doing. Oh, Al was hit by another cannon shot, but lost no points due to the blocks having fixed themselves a bit. Keep in mind, points are only reduced when the damage is new damage. So for instance, if the craft has repaired itself, it will build up a kind of buffer against point loss. So, Renowit has lost a lot of points and armor, but it's still holding up. Against ships like Renowit, Wit's ship, the bombardment missiles could actually have been a better choice instead of the cruise missiles. They have they fire 3 times as fast. They do not have all that much less splash radius, a fair bit less damage, but it will still be the better choice against a slow and heavy opponent. I'll dodge that cannon bullet. Now, the best bet for Reno to do some damage is actually if he loses all his weapons and the Shrike comes in with the kill order, and then Reno regenerates at least one of his weapons so that he can fire. Oh, there came a quite large volley of missiles. Reno is actually lacking points now, so unless Owl Feathers does something stupid again, this will be a win to the Shrike. It seems like the Reno ship actually barely survived. Now, this is the last round. The one who wins this will win over the other. A cannon bullet hit again. Alfeathers really seems to lack the agility that a kiter probably should have. It seems to be unable to dodge big things like cannon bullets. Reno has lost all his functional weapons. They will most likely go to the Shrike unless Reno's ship can do something effective. Like hitting with a cannon bullet maybe? Or two? Yeah, just like that. And the win for Owl was possibly instantly taken away right now. And Reno is left with 69 points. And Reno wins. Now we have the Shrike versus the Zero Ranger. Play Zero Ranger. Both are missile cutters, but Owl lacks the maneuverability. This is bad news for Owl. He has already lost the majority of his points, and he will most likely die in just one more cruise missile. Oh. Oh. Okay. He managed to win. So, the core of True Terrans is quite durable, as is the spinal mount core. Why big splash like this is actually resistible without shield. Oh, Dale almost died. Owl Feathers is taking some hits. I believe 2 more missiles are needed to take him out. It's quite a close battle between these two missile kiters, even though Owl seems to have a lot less maneuverability. But I guess Dale lacks the omnidirectional maneuverability. Now we have the Shrike versus Let Me In. The missile has sufficient range, splash radius to get through any part of Husk's ship. So, unless Husk is lucky, which he wasn't, he will die. Well, it's a bit too slow for maybe what should be a fragile kiter. Now we have Dragon Tamer versus Cersei, and Cersei actually won, even though he's a relatively fragile farmer. Dragon Tamer again was a Timper, which lacked splash resistance, and Cersei had that little point defense gun, which has splash. The miniguns finally did some work, dealing a lot of damage, and the cannon finished it off. If Dragon Tamer manages to take out the weapons, Before it dies, it will most likely win. But it's too small and fragile. Very fragile, actually. It's now dealing some damage. Most of the weapons are gone, except for the one minigun. Now, Dragon Tamer, don't run away and let him rebuild. Something you just did, which was very stupid. He likely won't be able to do the same again. Dragon Tamer has been lucky a lot of times, barely having armor left defending his core. Yes, it's true. It's kind of hard to make a pretty kiter due to it having to be minimalistic. You can make pretty kiters, but it will most likely reduce effectiveness. Now, Dragon Tamer, don't run away and don't let him rebuild. Something he just did. And don't let him get his cannon back. Or all his weapons for the matter. Okay, that was a finish. Now we have Rust Ship versus Play Zero Ranger. A Timper versus cruise missiles. A small Timper versus cruise missiles won't work. Sadly enough, it's just too small to resist any splash. But Dale actually seems to lose. Okay, the Rust Ship managed to get close in enough, fast enough, before it died, to deal the finishing blows. Now we have Timper versus Timper, Rush Ship versus Let Me In. Let Me In lacks any splash damage, so Dragon Tamer's armor might be sufficient, while Dragon Tamer has his splash cannons, but Husk has his thick armor, which manages to block it. So these crafts are actually counters of each other. Quite evenly matched, but it seems like Dragon Tamer manages to get through with his splash if he hits at the side. Oh, Husk's ship has some issues with a thruster glitching out. And Husk won, while lacking most of his armor. These are very evenly matched. Husk is currently leading on points, but that's most likely because Dragon Tamer has not hit much this round yet. There, okay, Husk is now losing on points quite a lot. And it's not certain he will be able to recover. But the situation might change quickly due to both ships being relatively fragile, with Husks being a lot more durable. Husk has his chance, and he's now leading on points. Husk has came into a spin, and he was hit from the back. It seemed to be something wrong with Dragon Tamer's ship. It turned into a spinner, but Husk still managed to win. Now we have Cersei with his farmer. Now we have Cersei with his farmer versus Reno's ship. Cersei might be able to win if he does not. Now we have Cersei versus Play Zero Ranger by Dill. As we have seen, Cersei has resistance to missiles, so if Cersei manages to get in at least a few bullets on Dill, he will win on points. But it's unlikely with the superior speed Dill has. Dill is leading with points, and the situation is unlikely to change unless Cersei somehow gets close. It seems like the situation won't change, and this will lead to a win for Dill. Cersei has now lost his lead in points. And the situation likely won't change. Dill seems to have gotten quite a nice spin around the arena, and it seems to be effective at keeping Cersei far away, since Cersei is just going in circles right now. The win goes to Dill. Now we have Dan Goose versus Husk. This might be an evenly matched match if Husk does not get an overwhelming amount of damage in. Superior damage. The shield is now gone from Dan Goose, but Dan Goose managed to win. The win went to Husk. Now we have Reno versus Dill. Again, a missile kiter. And Reno is likely to be able to do anything effective against it. Unless it does something similar to Al's or Kongas kiter, where they want to execute when Reno loses reliably hits at the back of Reno's craft, very reliably actually, which is bad for Reno, but luckily he has quite similar armor all around his ship. But it's unlikely that the weapons will be taken out when the damages are spread out. Oh, there is a hole in Reno's armor. This might lead to an opening for Dill to strike his core. Reno is heavily lacking on points, so the win is likely to go to Deal. Reno simply lacked any sort of point defense. The first round goes to Deal. Reno has not lost a single time on points. On death, but he has lost quite a few times on points. And as we see here, the durability is not enough to offset the damage of the missiles, which leads to a point loss. Now we have Reno versus Husk. Will the Letmin be able to deal the damage needed to take out the main weapons, like the cannon which just defeated it, or will the cannon hit it? Hopefully for Husk, he will be able to take out the cannon. Or at least stay on the side of Reno so that it can't fire with its main weapons. Oh, Husk dodged the cannon shot and has lost an armor block, but has now repaired it. Husk is lacking a lot of points, so he will have to deal a lot of damage, or not, if he would have wanted to win. Now we have the Play Zero Ranger versus Latmin, and that was it. Now we have another match, and that was it. So, this wraps up the first mainline tournament from the opening series, which aims to ramp up the tournament slowly before you have to deal with large fleets without knowing what the factionals are. So, do you want me to do anything specific before I wrap this stream up? No, okay then. So, the winner of this tournament was Exderp with his Elite Fighter Squad. After that came Konga on second place. And we had... and third place was taken by... third place was taken by Dill with 7 wins. This is the first time Dill has participated in a tournament, so this is quite good. Third place. So this wraps this first tournament up, and see you next time.